All right, let's get back on this Toyota. We're gonna get, let's see. We're gonna make our spark plug wires. Now I had to get the custom length spark plug wires that you have to build, mainly because, let's see, this comes with different options: straights, 90s, 45s, and for two of them for sure, maybe we should go look. I think two of them for sure are going to be 90s. Now, I think most of these, yep, those should be 45s just fine. Now it's this side here that's going to be a pain. This one here, that one's going to be a 90. That one could be 45. That one, these might get away with 45s over here also. So I'm just going to get to it, just start making these up. I already have one cut the length somewhere that's left over. So they all need to be about this length. I think I'm going to struggle with this 90 first. Which should be, yeah, I think it's this one. Okay, let's go verify that. So plugged in, should be plenty long. Got them all long enough to where you can, because this cord piece needs to be folded over on the cramp. So we're just going to go down to that right there and hope it's good enough. We need some fancy crimpers and lube. We got to make sure our 45 is the correct direction. Alright, just like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get these all knocked out. Alright, we're going to go put them on. Alright, well, those will work. I think the next thing we need to finish up, now that I got all the fittings, we're going to get the fuel lines. This is supply, that one's return. We're going to use the return, the one that's sticking up, but I think we're going to have to trim those pieces off, as I have a different kind of fitting for that. And then we'll have to crawl underneath and get the other one put on. Okay, so I think this is what I'm after here. I hope. That one's a 3/8. This one's 5/16. So this is a compression style fitting. It's supposed to be 5/16. I think it's wrong. I guess we're just going to see if that one fits, because I think I got the wrong size. Anyways, this is my adapter from the hard line to, I think one of those, that one's going to have to be a 90. That should screw, yep, screws right on. And I already made up the hose on this end. Those will 45, both of them will 45. I'm gonna go ahead and get that pipe cut back there and see if my guess was correct. If not, it looks like I'm gonna order that, crawl underneath and see if I guessed right on that one. If not, we'll order that one too. And then we're gonna move on to some cooling lines, mainly for the heater core. I haven't figured out the radiator 100% yet, so I'm gonna get that pipe cut. These two fittings are too big for that. That must be 1/4 inch. I got 5/16 and 3/8. I guess I'll climb underneath and see if I messed that up too. One of these should fit because it's bigger. And I gotta make sure the fuel line's still down there because I think I took it off. Let's go look. see. Yep. All right, well, I think it might have clipped in here somewhere. Okay, I need to go figure out what I did with that fuel line, or I'm gonna go steal it off another 4Runner out back. Well, lucky for me, I kept quite a bit of the stuff. This looks like to be the line. I'm just gonna cut it up here and then start fitting it, because I'm gonna reuse at least this one strap. I kind of wouldn't mind having it really close, but there's this like hard rubber thing, and I don't think that'd be enough room, so I might be able to use it in this area too. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and just do it there. To hell with it. All right, let's see which one of these is the winner. Well, it's not 3/8. Let's hope it's the 5/16. Okay, that'll work. I want to fit through that. Okay, well, we're gonna drill that out. Much better. Hopefully it's not, no, it's not crooked. Well, that should work. Now we gotta get under there, put this in, see how long that line is, and then figure out how to make that line fit perfect. Well, gotta figure out how to run that line down here and get a length. Alright, I'm going to run underneath this thing and try and run it how I'm going to run it, and then get a measurement and then try and make this fitting up. We hope. Okay, I got the fuel line connected. I'm not going to attach this to anything quite yet. I have a few more, well, I really want to wait for the other return line to get attached, but this brake booster hose needs to fit on this back vacuum port back here, and I'm hoping the adapter I bought is going to fit. Online it claimed somewhere in all these fittings. There. This is supposed to be the correct fitting. Whether it's true or not, we're gonna find out. There's a hole back there, but it feels a lot smaller than what this fitting here is. I don't think anything comes out of there. Oh wait, that just moved. Alright, I need another hand. I don't think that comes out though. That's just a plug. And this is, hey, it might actually work. That'd be great. Okay, well that worked. Guess if anybody else needs that, it is GM number 12559760. Oh, it looks like something's in there. That's right, we're not going to use all this anyways. We're going to go ahead and shorten this up. I'm going to use that, whatever this fitting is, just to join it together there somewhere. And And then we'll move on to coolant lines. Okay, went ahead, hose routed. That's a one-way valve. I blew through it, and the direction is that way for vacuum. That holds the vacuum. Pretty nice little setup. Connected to the back of the port. I had to stretch the end of that fitting. No big deal. So now we need to get this heater hose routed. And I don't think I have the fitting for the other one quite yet, but we're gonna get what we can wrapped up on this. That way I can start getting these fittings put away when I'm done with them. Fan, I'm not sure how I want to install the fan yet. When we get to that point, I don't want it attached directly to the radiator due to the fact if I have to pull this radiator in and out at all, I just won't be able to do it. So we'll get to that. Now, I went ahead and ordered 5/8 180 for that one pipe up there, so I don't have to mess with it because that's where the heater controls are at. These are the actual hoses for this engine. They come off this port here. This one's 3/4 5/8. I'm hoping to run them up high enough up into this area, probably just around there. I don't have the 90 for this 5/8. I forgot to order that. So we'll get that 180 plus. I believe this is also a coolant line, so I bought a T for that. And then since the one coolant line's 3/4, I have a 3/4 to 5/8 reducer and 5/8 to 5/8 to extend it, so we can adapt to this. Figure out where we want to adapt that T for this hose. Now I think instead of running this hose and then having to adapt because it's not long enough, I'm going to wait until I get a longer piece of this. Now this bigger hose I can adapt, and I got to figure out flow. I believe flow on this vehicle would come in here where the valve is. That way it's outside. That way it's not. That way it reduces out here, I guess. That's my guess. My other guess would be your main flow would be coming from this 3/4 inch size, which is fine because then I can put that reducer way up here and then adapt it there. I think would work great. And then I'll wait until I get a longer 5/8 chunk of hose because I don't want a whole bunch of fittings in here. It's hard enough to adapt all this. So I'm gonna get this looked up and ran, and then I think the next deal is if I can figure out what I did with it. I have a flexible transmission line, and I want to get that hooked up because we could start adding oil, rear end, transfer case, transmission. We can start putting fluids in it, getting the brakes bled, and I think I should go ahead and start in on the wiring. So I'm going to get this ran first. All right, got the flexible transmission line. Comes with a little adapter for when you put fluid in. That's pretty good. I'm not sure quite how I'm going to run this yet. I thought this might have been a little bit longer, but I'm going to see how good we can make this fit real quick, and then I'll just come back and show you everything I've done. All right, that length was actually about perfect. Right on that back firewall. Once I get this fuel line here hooked up and we adjust these a little bit better to make them look a little nicer, you'll have more room. The heater hose, Actually, might have to just tie it to it once the other one gets installed also. Well, I suppose we should put the radiator back in and start working on the electric fan mount. And then also, I have to put a brace back in here. I am going to shove that fan over one way, or probably this way a little bit. That way, if we need more cooling, I believe I can fit a couple of small fans on this side if needed. I don't think I will on this side because of all the coolant lines that are going to be in the way. So I'm going to go ahead and get this radiator in and try and make some sort of a plan on how to mount the fan to where it's removable and not attached to the radiator. That'll be fun. This fan is the size that we need. It should fit, but there's no way to fit it in there. So I'm going to think about, I might cut this off and see if I can make this, I'll weld the flange on each side and then see if I can bolt this in, and if I have to, there's room like an inch that I can cut out of this. And I think this might fit in there far enough to where I can still bolt this piece here in. I don't want to get rid of this totally. I'd like to keep it in there. Well, with this fan in there, it looks almost like it might actually work with all the pieces. It almost looks like this factory piece was meant for an electric fan in there with this cutout. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do to make this fan removable on its own. I'm going to take a bit, see if I can come up with some way to mount brackets that are still sturdy. Alright, this is what I've come up with. I haven't figured out how to attach it yet down here. But to take the least amount of air away, I just figure I'll take this, I don't even know what this tubing is. Skinniest stuff I had. 1/2 inch. And I literally just bent it in a vise, laid it on the table to where it was fairly flat both ways. I think once I clean it up, it'll look a little bit better with some paint on it. I'm going to rivet the fan because these rivets are going to be nice, flat, and smooth when they're all said and done. That way I can get this fan as close to the radiator as possible without it touching. And this being so rigid, the last thing I got to figure out once I get the other one bent is basically how to mount it to the front of that thing. So I'm going to go ahead and knock out another one of these. That way it mirrors the other side. They're not the same length. Well, they probably are now. Nope. Okay, so they didn't even start out the same length. Anyways, I'm going to get that bent, figure out how these can mount to the 4Runner, because I'll have a tab or something down here and on the top that will bolt into place when I'm done. My plan, I'm going to put rib nuts in the top two, and then I'll put rib nuts into the bottom part of the frame of the 4Runner. So when this slips in like this, I could put 2 bolts down and then 2 bolts down. Now I got to figure out how to measure all that. Kind of where I want this to be. I'm gonna attempt, the bottom ones are easy. I'm gonna attempt to mark those up there somehow. get them drilled, get the rib nuts set in. I got to pull these back apart because I am going to still rivet them together. And I got to get these painted. And then, got to figure this out because this needs to be able to unbolt. Alright, that's going to work pretty good. I got to do some test fitting with this fan. I know once I get it in there I'm going to have to trim out somewhere in here. So I'm going to get this, let this cool, take it apart, and then kind of do some fitting and marking. Then I'm going to get this painted. The other parts up here, it's hard to come across on camera, but they turned out pretty decent with paint on them. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this prepped. I want to get this back together before I wrap this video up. Hopefully when I come back we're going to start buttoning up the little things and getting the wiring done. I want to get this thing fired up quick. Even though I still have the whole front end, I have to tear it apart again and match gears. Well, waiting for the paint to dry, my other fitting showed up for the fuel lines and the heater hose. So we made some progress this time. Fuel lines are done, heater hoses are done, and the fan mount is done. So I think it's time we actually mark a few things off this list. It's been a while. So we got heater hoses, trans dipstick, fuel lines, the electric fan is installed, wiring list is down here. I did the engine oil and filter while we were waiting. Spark plug wires. Drive lines are being built. Oh, I wanted to get, that's right, I'll do the brake bleeding. Waiting on an alternator still for that. We're waiting on the thermostat and the housing. So, looks like the next one, I should probably get the shocks, the bump stops, and I need to start wiring on this thing. Probably front bumper. Once this fan's wired, I can put the grill back in. We have some LED headlights to install. So stay tuned, there'll be a lot more. Thanks for watching.